So the flow I will actually make it very simple. So I will just explain what are the control scheme we can use in robotics. So one of the easiest scheme which Professor Gosal mentioned is simple PD control. So you know why we are using PD control, I will not do much. So this is actually good in terms of something like a planner or there is no gravity. So even Professor Gosal, even though he implied or you can say employed in a spatial robot, but he made it a static balancing system, which is actually like, if you recall his system, so even though his system is supposed to be like this, you would have seen something like some parallel mechanism would have been there. So some masses, all those locations were there. It is actually like we call statically balanced system. So each motor is actually like free from the gravity. It is nothing but the gravity is balanced. For example, you have a pendulum. Okay, the pendulum is having 1 kg. Now you extend the pendulum and you have probably like 10 kg here. It may be balanced. Now your actuator is free from this gravity balance. So that's what he has used. That's why he has applied simple PD control. Otherwise, simple PD control will not work in that system. Even if you ask him, he will also say the same thing. Okay. So most of the industrial robot will have counterweight balance or you can say gravity balance system inside. If you take Fanuc or Kuka, so you can see that the robot can actually drag by ourselves. But the robot probably like 100 or 200 kg weight. So how it is actually like a drag by ourselves? Because it is statically balanced by use the help of spring or probably counterweight. Okay. If you want to know more about static balancing, there is a separate, you can say, books are available. Professor Hariclin from France, he has written 2 books on static balancing of robot manipulator. And even Professor Anand Suresh in IISc is also working on static balancing schemes. So if you are actually like applying a spatial manipulator, definitely you have to compensate the gravity effect. So PD with the gravity compensation is one of the schemes. So here again the gravity effect should be accurately known. So it's supposed to be accurately known. If it is not, then the performance will deteriorate. Okay. So then people actually like end up, okay, why can't we use nonlinear PD? So here nonlinearity will come based on like adjustments. So for example, if I take inertia matrix, so you know inertia matrix is actually like depends on the position. If the position is actually extreme, the inertia value will be different. If it is actually stretched, the inertia value will be different. So that's why if you see Professor Gosal lecture, the dynamics m of q into q double dot. So that m of q is actually like function of q. The mass, our inertia matrix is function of q. So if you are actually stretched, the inertia value will be different if it is here. So now you can use this inertia matrix even partially accurately known that you can apply. So now the PD value, whatever it is giving, based on this it will adjust. For example, it is stretched, the inertia value will be high. Probably it will actually like multiply your PD. If it is actually here, it may be less. It will actually demultiply, or you can say it will reduce the effect. So that way we can actually say it is non-linear PD. It is actually not non-linear, it is augmented only, but you can adjust the gain value by providing this. There are many other like non-linear PD techniques are there. This is one of the simplest ones, okay, where you can use inertia matrix as the, you can say, non-linear matrix, okay, which is time varying matrix. So similarly the computer TARC also Professor told. So where you will add one feed forward term, that's what this particular system has. Then you can actually like come out with a robust control. So I will explain what are the options. Then the robust control with gravity and other effect, so that it will actually minimize the control activity. So for example, you need to overcome 10 meter error, and you know that there is actually 10 meter error is there. If you actually bring it to 1 meter, or you can say probably like 0.1 meter error, compensation effect is very less. Very simple example I will mention. There is actually like required force is actually 100 Newton. But because of that gravity and other effect, you estimated already 90 Newton. So now the extra Newton is actually only 10. So even if it is actually varying, the 10 Newton plus or minus only will vary. Because the 90 Newton already it is known to you. So you have to compensate that extra effect which is 10 or plus. So that way you can reduce. This is actually robust control with less control activity. So the other one is adaptive. So where you will have adaptive law. This adaptive law will adjust the parameter in the inertia and other factor. So it will automatically adjust this parameter and it will try to tune the controllers. This is another one where you don't have like all the state measurement, then you can use the state observer. Based on that you can estimate all the state and you can use the controller. This is another one where you can actually estimate the disturbance. We call disturbance observer, and then you can actually like compensate. Okay. Now this is actually like outline. So now I will actually like tell you what are the motivation to provide our contribution. So we have seen that among all the control strategy which is actually proposed by researchers, the adaptive control is considered to be a very you can say better system, but it is actually computationally intensive because it required inverse Jacobian matrix. Usually Jacobian matrix for service robot will be rectangular, so inverse Jacobian cannot be found. So you have to use either singular value decomposition through singular value decomposition or pseudo or point most pseudo inverse you have to get. So this is one thing. And the second thing is, even if you are using an adaptive law where you have to get a regressor matrix, where you will actually get the position, velocity, acceleration, based on that remaining parameter you will actually try to estimate. So that regressor matrix you have to find. That regressor matrix usually will be a rectangle. So that is again one another problem. Similarly, if you see the computer task control, which Professor Kosal said it is very easy. But the problem is it does not account any of the uncertainty or unmodeled dynamics. For example, you assume that the system is actually 10 kg. You can say your computational model says that it is 10 kg. But because of the manufacturing defect, or probably your weld is actually overfilled, probably it is 11 kg. Then your system is unmodeled, correct? That unmodeled 1 kg may end up with a problem. For example, similarly, you assume that the gripper is always like 10 kg, but it may actually carry probably 1 kg load. That 1 kg load you have not accounted early. So that also end up with unmodeled. Similarly, like there are other which is actually like end up with unmodeled or external disturbance. This is not overcome. The second thing is, it is always depend on the model accuracy. If your model accurate, then your performance will be accurate. Otherwise, it is not. So there are several significant effects actually like made to make computational effect of this CTC brought as advanced control. Then you come to robust control. It will always give a satisfactory performance, but it end up with high control activity or probably the chattering effect. So this need to be overcome. Especially the steady state, it will have chattering effect. Okay. On the other hand, people actually like rely on PID control. But the PID control actually required tuning based on your dynamic change. For example, now you are actually working set point control of 1 meter. So tomorrow probably you are trying for 10 meter. So the controller gain need to be tuned accordingly. So this is actually one of the critical point. Even you can see PID tuning is actually, even now it is a critical research area. You can see even if you search, Google it, even today you can find 1 or 2 paper in still PID tuning. So that is what the case. So after all this, we understood that still there is a scope of working in control, and we have actually like developed few of the controls. So one of the like scheme which I implemented in Korean like Navy, which is indirect adaptive control. Then I worked with sliding mode, but I made it a augmented one. Then robust nonlinear PID like fuzzy logic control. Then single input fuzzy logic. Even few other controls are there. I'll actually like explain one by one. But for these control implementation, I have used several prototypes. So few of them are actually in my lab. So this particular prototype is there in like a Korean, you can say Navy. And this particular prototype right now I don't have, it is in Germany. So where I will be going and working. So these other prototypes are made it in our house. Okay. Even this prototype is available, I could not get the photo. So some YouTube videos are available in our lab, you can actually like find it. It is one of the classical mobile manipulator. We have actually like made it. So these are the prototypes which we have used for our control scheme demonstration. So one of the first scheme I used in simulation initially. Okay. So this is one of the you can say toughest system. Why it is toughest? It is actually underwater. So underwater dynamics is actually completely different from grounded and aerial, and it is actually mobile manipulator also there, or you can say it's a mobile manipulator. Whereas underwater vehicle is end-house with one manipulator. That manipulator is having 3 degrees of freedom, and this vehicle is having 7 actuators. So it is over actuated system, and the entire system is kinematically redundant system, and it is actually working in underwater. So it is actually tough task. So the second toughest thing is actually it doesn't have all the sensor input, or you can say all the state input. So we have only like task based position, and as well as we have all the system state, which is the positional information. So based on that, what I actually like come up. Anyhow, I have to develop a extended Kalman filter for system state measurement. So what I was actually like looking, okay, why can't I use for estimating the you can say the causes. So usually like there are two kind of adaptive controls around. One is we call direct adaptive, the other one is indirect adaptive. So very simple example. So direct adaptive in the sense, for example, one human being is walking, okay, somebody is actually backside is pushing. So he is actually like trying to adapt to make sure that he is actually stable. He never bothered who is actually pushing, how much actually like is actually like pushing from where, all those things he ignored. He just to see how much force he end up, and he tried to compensate and stay as a stable position. So this is what we call direct. So direct in the sense you are just directly applying how much force required to get stable or try to get the performance. So just imagine, so two of the friends are going, one friend is actually dragging, okay, so he is pushing. The guy who is actually know that this is the guy who is actually dragging and he holds the hand, so he is trying to arrest, correct? So this is what we call indirect adaptive. So you are trying to see who is the source of cause and try to eliminate that cause or try to compensate that cause. So this is what we call indirect adaptive. So in this particular paper, I have used indirect adaptive. So indirectly, like I have seen the payload variation and the underwater current effect. I try to estimate the current velocity and as well as the payload, how much weight I have actually taken. So these are actually estimated and try to compensate those effects as a forces or tasks. So that's what it is called indirect adaptive. Okay. So for that I have used a very standard extended Kalman filter. I hope few of them at least know what is extended Kalman filter. So this does have two basic equations. One is system equation, the other one is measurement. So here the measurement is actually like only positional information. So the actuator information or velocity information, nothing is known. Only like x, y, z, then 3 orientation and the manipulator joint positions are known. So but my system is actually different, and I try to estimate the velocity of current and as well as the payload. These are the extra estimate I am trying to do it apart from my system state. So this is the controller block diagram. So where actually like you can see that the system is having like position and velocity, but my sensor is actually restricted, only it is giving positional information. That positional information I am sending to EKF. The EKF is already have some predefined model. So EKF is actually working with respect to your model only. But the model is actually going to update over a period. That is the advantage with the help of EKF. If we use a simple computer task control, the model will not update. But EKF, initial gust will be updated. Okay. So that way actually this EKF based on the initial model, it will actually like get the measurement. It start actually like giving the system state and as well as the estimated current and the payload. So based on that the disturbance will be estimated and it will be compensated. So the remaining are actually like straightforward. So where the trajectory planner will give the desired task space value. So based on inverse dynamics we will be getting the joint space and we will be giving the feedback, and we will take the EKF state measurement as the feedback and will actually like get the error, and the controller will actually work. So here you can see that the controller is nothing but your computer task control. Only thing this vector is added because that is what we are actually like getting from the EKF. Okay. So here everything is actually like cap because it is estimated. So this is what the controller performance is demonstrated on the real-time prototype. And since it is actually like employed in Korean Navy, I cannot show the real time, but I can show the simulation results. Okay. So I have assumed for simulation case the underwater current is actually like almost like 0.7 meter per second inside. Okay. And the vehicle mass is actually like 10% neutrally buoyant, and it was carrying a payload of like 3 to 5 kg. So it is actually like for the first simulation case I have taken 2.12 kg, okay, which is 30% of the total manipulator. That's what we assume. And the case which we have taken is, so the manipulator will actually start here and it will go this point and it will peak and it will actually like drop and come back to the same position. This is what the task. So one is actually with compensation, the other one is without compensation. So you can see that without compensation it is actually not able to follow the profile, but with compensation it is actually like try to follow. One drawback is if the uncertainty is actually huge, you can say large uncertainty, the EKF may not actually like perform well. That is the drawback of EKF. Then we can actually go for particle filter, or you can say the combination of particle and EKF we call RKEF. So that we can use. That also we have implemented. Right here I have not shown. So here you can see that the estimated value. So this is actually the payload, almost like 21 Newton. So it is actually like initially it was 0. So at 30th second it is actually picking a payload. So the controller is trying to estimate and it is reaching within 10 seconds and it is trying to compensate. That 10 second only the error is actually like going. You can see everywhere that 10 second the error is actually like getting oscillate. So similarly, because of this payload, the current velocity also will get changed because it is adapted there. So that's why you can see that the estimate of other values also getting affected. So this is the task phase, you can say the base, and this is the tracking error of all these things. So then actually like we have moved to other prototype to test the same control. Because I cannot show the prototype here, correct? So I have taken this prototype and I applied the same control. Only issue is actually like here I did not actually like try to find the source of cause. Still I tried to estimate the effect of disturbance. That disturbance effect I try to compensate here. So still it is indirect adaptive because actually like I am adapting the disturbance estimation with the help of EKF. EKF is after all like adaptive, like you can say indirect. It is not direct because you are actually based on the estimate you are trying to estimate the disturbance. So with this actually like you can see that the task based error is actually like compared with computer task control and PID. So the error is actually like very less in terms of the proposed control. So initially like all these three controls tuned in such a way that in ideal condition all three are actually like performing equally. Otherwise people will ask how did you tune? So probably you have tuned the one controller gain actually in such a way that your proposed controller is giving better. So for that we have actually tuned all the three controllers in such a way that the proposed controller is giving worst performance in ideal situation. So if you see our paper, we would have given that detailed backup. But here I have shown only the experimental result where the final prototype testing with disturbance. That's what we have shown. So you can see that the norm of tracking error is actually like almost very close to 0. But the PID is actually like initially it is not trying to come up. That is the problem. Because PID always like sluggish in terms of response. So that's why it is, even though you can see over a period, it is actually better than computer task control. But in the initial period, it is not able to overcome. But the computer task control, it is actually like trying to cover up, but the steady state error cannot come up. Why? Because it is just applied with the PD control. If we have applied probably PID, it may actually like reduce further. Okay. So then actually like we have seen that okay, this indirect EKF, all those things, people actually like started talking. You have used a very complex system for simple application. Then we thought, okay, why can't we actually like reduce some of the effort which made for sliding mode control channel reduction. So we have taken very simple, you can say, solution. We have used a simple adaptive scheme. The adaptive scheme comes with the help of disturbance observer. So we have used a simple disturbance observer. So that disturbance observer will actually like eliminate the chattering in terms of adaptiveness. For example, you have 100 Newton effect and you need 10 Newton effect. So the 10 Newton effect will be always bounded. But 100 Newton it's supposed to come and leave and then has to come back. So that's why we are actually like use the observer. The observer will actually like estimate the approximate disturbance so that it will reduce the control activity. And further we have used a terminal slide so that it will actually like further reduce and we can estimate the finite time convergence also. So it is not simple, you can say sliding mode. It is a augmented sliding mode. We call like a terminal sliding mode with the disturbance. So this is the control law, which actually says you can see that it is power of gamma. That gamma vary 0.5 to 2. So indirectly it is not square root. It is not square. Within that you can actually use. So this terminal slide have two stages. One is singular, the other one is non-singular. We have used a non-singular one, which will actually like assure the finite time. And this is the experimental setup we have used for this, the control. So here you can see that we have used this complete complex control in a simplest Atmega processor. Just you can imagine it is simple Arduino processor with Atmega microcontroller only we have used. Even this complex control we can embed here and we can use it. So which way it is actually like better. And in order to show our robustness and effectiveness, we have compared all the popular techniques which came in 2012 to 2014 because the paper we published in 2014. So I have compared 2012 to 2014 which are the like advanced control scheme. Those things I have taken and I referred. And the control performance I have plotted here. You can see that almost all the controllers are actually like performing well. You can see the error is actually not more than 0.025 in terms of meter. So it is still in actually like 2.5 mm error only, maximum error in all three states together. And we try to compare with the tabulation format. So we always say high control activity. The high control activity, how we can estimate? We can estimate in terms of power consumption or in terms of norm of control inputs. So that way we have actually like taken. So norm of vector of position error, norm of vector of control input and power consumption we have taken. So in that scene you can see, so our proposed controller is actually like the error is 0.38, the overall sum of norm of error. So there is actually one another control which is actually better than us, which is we call continuous finite time terminal sliding mode, which is very popular. But if you see in terms of control activity, it requires 220 watts. But you can see our control is actually taking only less than 150 watts. Similarly, the next closest is actually 0.38, which is again we propose only. This is also taking 200, but this is actually like taking 150. So in that sense, we have actually like seen that okay, it is actually like a better in terms of performance. So further, we are actually like go one step further. That I will actually tell you in the next half. So you have any question in this regard? Otherwise, I'll just go on the next. So you have any specific question on this? So no further question.
So underwater, how was the initial measurement was taken?
So it is used as simple, you can say accelerometer. If you are actually like using INS system, then it will be with the help of accelerometer and rain gauge. But we have used simple beacons. Beacons and you can say vision sensor. So the beacons will give you the idea about how close to your beacons. It is something like a localized GPS. So in underwater we are actually used in testing tank only, correct? So in the test tank we can actually like put 5 or 6 beacons So based on the beacon, you can actually identify your exact location. So apart from that, your task base, you can use the image. So it is we call terrain based navigation. So we know the terrain image. So based on that, I can identify where exactly my end effector. So these are the questions I have taken as the feedback. But in reality, we use INS, Inertial Navigation System, which employ with rate gyro and accelerometer. So inbuilt one EKF will be there inside INS.
The normal accelerometer will not work with a different G underwater.
That's what I said. There is a inbuilt EKF. Okay. So that EKF, any of we can design. Inbuilt means you cannot actually like modify. That's why we propose EKF. That EKF actually like we developed, then we thought, okay, why can't we use for disturbance composition? If it is inbuilt, we cannot actually like play with our own. That's what the. If you buy any MRU or any INS, it will come with inbuilt EKF. You can tune maximum. You can actually see that there is one screw they will give and you can adjust. That is only that Kalman gate you can tune. Nothing else you can do. But if we work, we know what will be the error covariance, and we know the model parameter, we can adjust. Any other queries? You see, one simple thing I will tell you, like whatever we can write in simulation, that may perform in your simulation model. But once it comes to the real time, it is very difficult to implement even simple PID control. We may actually think, okay, like one DC motor you take and one Arduino processor you take a feedback and try to control, you can see that there is a lots of challenges. So that time itself actually like it will be like miss. You may actually skip this field for that. Because if you go with a normal DC motor, that will not come with encoder. But if you go with a higher end like a DC motor, that will come with a higher cost. For example, if you take a Maxon motor, DC motor, you just forget servo or anything. Maxon motor with encoder will cost around 30 to 40,000. Okay, but if you take a simple DC motor, will come 20,100. So you can see the difference, almost like 10 to 15 times higher. So this will give all the velocity feedback, position feedback, but this doesn't have anything. So you can actually think that okay, I can put a potentiometer, I can get the displacement feedback, but the motor will be rotating continuous. So your potentiometer will give probably like only angle within that range, and fixing potentiometer in DC motor shaft is very troublesome. So you have to afford money only. Otherwise you have to make some other basis so that you can actually like connect the potentiometer or encoder yourself. That's what you might have seen. If anyone end up with your own prototype, you would have seen these things. If you are making indoors. If you are purchasing a prototype from some company, probably they would have built everything for you, so you can just use it. The cost of purchase and yours, probably you can see almost 10 times. Because they are employing all their manpower to develop for you. So you have to afford that one. So I already told, no, 20,100 motor also there, 30,000 motor also there. So if you want to have all the feedback, then you have to go only for 30,000 motor. So there is no other choice. So similarly, Arduino processor will work only certain range. So if you want to go higher industrial base, then you have to go for DSpace, or you can say something like probably National Instrument DAC, or probably customized DAC based on your application. So these all will take more expensive stuff. Even we have NI DAC, we have DSpace, still people actually like happy to work with the Arduino because it's easy to implement. But there is a restriction. So Arduino processor cannot overcome certain level of current. And the Arduino processor and the motor drive which we are using low cost may not be reliable after probably 100 runs. It may fail. You may not be knowing why it is failing. You will say, sir, it is actually burned. It may not be overcurrent, but there is actually some cost involved. No? So you are actually paying 1 lakh for DAC and 1,000 rupees for your driver. It is actually different, correct? So it is like almost 100 times. So you have to see the same. So these all will come if you are working in real time. So if no further question, I will go the second one. I will continue. Okay, with this I will just stop this talk. So the second half will be start in the afternoon, my talk. So if you have any query, you can just note it down. Because I have rushed, because I have 60 slides, I thought within 1.5 hours I have to cover. So some of the slides I was running through. But if you have any specific questions, you can always put up. Or you can just follow all our paper, you will get some idea. So if you have any specific query on that, you can always write.
After 5 minutes, we'll become completely after 5 minutes, Satya, eugenics will give the detail because here we are knowing the details, but dynamics, control and how to, for implementing it requires some components, right? So he is going to give us what are the types of robots he is adding in them. So he will be explaining that.